There we go, buddy. You're cooking.
Awesome. Well, welcome everyone to our first ever Eliminating Procrastination webinar. Thank you to each and every one of you who are on the call right now, and a big welcome to those who are going to watch later on. We are so excited to bring you a webinar that's all new, packed with content that'll hopefully help you right where you're at, get over this stumbling block that procrastination can become. We've got truly a lot to talk about today, but before we get into the meat of today's presentation, I want to get some introductions out of the way. My name is Paul McCosco. I've been working with Bill for almost 4 years now, and soon you're going to hear from Bill Cox of Bill Cox Coaching, who I bet you most of you know, but maybe if you don't, maybe you just joined the call and you're wondering who Bill Cox is. Let me introduce you. Bill is the founder and the lead coach at Bill Cox Coaching. He's a certified executive coach with the John Maxwell team, and he's literally coached thousands of leaders and entrepreneurs into living a happier, healthier, and more productive life. He's passionate about seeing people grow into their full potential and lead lives of legacies that show the way to the next generation. He's a great friend. He's a wise mentor, and he's truly a phenomenal teacher. And I know you're going to be blessed to hear what Bill has to say to you today. So grab a notepad, maybe flip over your cell phone, and let's really dial into the content of today's webinar. And at the end, there'll be time for some questions and answers. So if you've got something that's burning inside that you want to ask Bill or myself about, feel free to save that till the end. We'll save time for that. And we'll be able to talk about that all together. So I know you're in for a treat today, and I want to turn it back over to Bill as we talk about eliminating procrastination.
Buddy, thank you for that kind introduction. I had no idea he was going to say that stuff. So very, very kind of you to say that. Again, super excited to have all you guys on the call today and so many dear friends on the line. I think it's the thing I love about my business is one of our core values in this business is we develop lifelong friendships. So when we work with people, it's so much beyond a business transaction of coaching people. Really for us, life is about relationships. And I love the opportunity in coaching just to make great friends all throughout life and just to reconnect with so many of you today that I haven't talked to in so many months with COVID and life and all those things. Super honored that you'd be on the call. So thank you. And congratulations, you're here pretty much on time. And so because this webinar is about procrastination, you're already ahead of the game. For those of you who will watch this webinar at a later date, maybe you procrastinated on signing up, but you're watching this webinar right now. And so great job. All joking aside though, this is a serious topic, this whole issue of eliminating procrastination. And today we want to focus on how you can do what you need to do, when you need to do it, and get more done in less time. And this is a deal we know that so many people face, right? Recent study bears this out. And the goal of this particular study was to figure out what percentage of our modern workforce admits to procrastinating on an average day. Now, you know me, I love interaction in my presentation, so we're going to take full advantage of the chat. I'm going to go ahead and put everybody on mute because I'm hearing myself. Boom, there we go. Okay, and I had one more person join, so I'm going to go ahead and admit them, and I'm back. All right, anyhow, I love interaction on in any of my courses on these webinars. So we're going to ask you to utilize the chat today. And the first one is what percentage do you think it is? Type this in the chat that people who admit to procrastinating on an average day. What do you think? Go ahead and type that in. 65, 50, 25, 70. None. They procrastinated on filling out the survey. I like that. 75, 40, 50. Yeah, we're kind of all over the map on this one. The actual answer is 88%. 88% of those surveyed admitted that they procrastinate at least 1 hour a day. 1 hour a day, that's significant. Anybody surprised by that number? Maybe a few of you, probably if you're like me, not a whole lot of you are shocked by that number. I mean, this is one of the main areas that we coach leaders and entrepreneurs around all the time. I mean, this is from little areas like responding to emails in a timely manner, getting started on an important project, scheduling appointments, starting that weight loss program, to more significant issues of maybe it's having hard conversations or sitting down to write out your will, or finally taking that step to launch your business that you've been dreaming about for years. Point is, procrastination is something that I think all of us deal with, all of us battle with at some level. I know this is super true in my own life. Recently, I was watching this TED talk by a fellow by the name of Tim Urban. And Tim did a talk called Inside the Mind of a Master Procrastinator. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I don't know if you watch many TED Talks, but this is a must watch. One, just because the dude is flat out hilarious, but also because of some of the things that Tim said that, man, they really resonated with me in my own struggle with procrastination. And one of the things that Tim said at the conclusion of his talk was this. He said, short-term procrastination leads to long-term unhappiness and regret. Because over time, if we don't solve this problem, we become spectators to our own lives. Man, did that like smack me right between the running lights. And then he said this, he said, problem is, if we don't figure this out, we become spectators to our own lives. And over time, we get into this place where the biggest problem is, it's not that we weren't able to ever accomplish some of the things that we set out to, but even more deeply, that we weren't even able to even begin some of those things. And man, that was powerful. If that resonates with you, if that kind of speaks, you just kind of type in the chat the word truth. I want to know if you're tracking with me on this one. Yeah, thank you. Definitely. Reason that's so powerful to me is that it caused me to think about my own life. I had a dream of stepping out and starting my own business, probably 5 to 7 years before I ever started it. And there are two reasons. Number one, I just kind of had got to that point in my career where I was comfortable and just kind of started to settle into my life. Just kind of started to accept my life and quit kind of pushing myself to move toward my dreams. And the second, but probably more deeper and bigger issue beyond comfort was that I was afraid. And I was letting my fears take control of my future. I started to listen to that narrative in my inside my head. Maybe you can, relate to that. This narrative that said, Bill, you don't have what it takes. Are you crazy? You've never owned a business. You don't even have a degree in business. What makes you think you could be successful as a business owner? I mean, you're a pastor. What are you thinking about? And we have pastors on the line. So Seth, this is not being critical of you, but this is what was going on inside my own head. And then the narrative would say, besides that, what if you fail? What if you try and fail? And so I kind of became stuck inside my own head. And as Paul said, stuck stinks. I was experiencing exactly what Tim talked about. I had started to become a spectator to my own life, to my own dreams. And through a series of painful circumstances, I realized, you know what? Life is too precious and life is too short. We only get one. So I stopped listening to the destructive inner narrative and got off the sidelines of my own life. And for each and every one of you, that's what our goal for today is, to help you do the same thing. We want today, this webinar, to provide for you a catalyst to get off the sideline of your own life and fully into the driver's seat, so you can live and lead the life you were meant to live. And I mean this from little ways to big ways, and we deal with procrastination. So we want to give you some tools to help you eliminate this today. We're going to give you 3, so you can do what you need to do when you need to do it and get more done in less time. And as we start today, I want to make you 3 promises. First, you're going to learn more about what procrastination is and why we do it. There are reasons. Second, we're going to teach you 3 practical ways, strategies, to begin to eliminate procrastination immediately. And the cool thing is, these are relatively easy to implement, and at the same time, they will yield immediate results, I promise. Third, if you stay with us to the end, around minute 45, we're going to give you a free 30-day challenge tool just for participating. And this tool is really cool. You're going to love it. And if you found all the information we present today helpful, there's more that we'd like to offer you in a course we've built around this topic. And we'll talk about that more around the conclusion of today's webinar. The fact is, there's a reason that you're on this call today. And, it's probably not just to wave and say hi to me, right? That might have been part of it, but there's probably something a little bigger. Most likely, it's because, like me, you have things in your life that are really important to you, but you haven't done them yet. Now, here's a question for the chat. If you're willing to do so, I'd love to get an idea of where all of us struggle with this issue. So just type in the chat where you struggle with procrastination the most. Let me know as we get started. What's that one area you just keep putting off? Paperwork. Yeah, man, I can track with that. Housework. It's funny, Lori. That's good. Yeah. Anybody else? Creating content. Yeah, man. Seth, I can totally relate to that. Especially with where you're at and what you do, like the every week rhythm of that for yourself. Yeah, man. Starting any project, documentation. Okay, great. This is good stuff. To-do lists. We're going to talk about to-do lists today. That's awesome. Okay, great. Now here's the next question on all these. Oh yeah, studying for insurance exams. Honestly, that sounds really painful. So here's the next question. If you could solve this, what would be the best part of solving this challenge? Type that in as well. Just let me know, what would be the best part? Completion. Yeah, Michael, that's awesome. Being able to rest, motivation. Yeah. Less stress, relief. Oh my gosh, these are all fantastic. Feeling of accomplishment is huge. Lift of weight. Yeah, absolutely. Freeing up your life and not feeling like a failure. Oh my gosh, Paula, that's huge. How powerful would that be? Be more organized, save time, no worries, less stress. I mean, those are all so good. I mean, what if you could become the kind of person who knows exactly what you need to do, when you need to do it, and then you take action to do it? What would that feel like? When we learn to overcome this, so many great things flow as a result. We become peaceful and more centered, more productive. Just like you folks mentioned, our brains are literally flooded with these happy chemicals of endorphins and dopamine that kind of infuse our lives with a sense of confidence and personal power. Our relationships get better. I mean, think about that. People can come to trust us and count on us. We begin to become go-to people who others look to. The respect for us deepens. We even become vital team members. Now, as we continue to talk about this, think right now, who? When you think about the relationships that would improve if this changed in your life, who would benefit the most from you becoming less of a procrastinator? Who in your life would benefit the most beyond yourself? Who else? Me. That's the first and biggest one, isn't it, Kim? I mean, that is the biggest. Our families, absolutely. Our spouses, yeah. Man, so much is coming up here about family. And that is so significant because in our company, we're all about helping people live legacy lives. And we know that legacy starts with those who are most sacred and precious to us. And that for all people, for the work that I do always comes back to families, to our teams. Yeah. These are important relationships that this issue affects. We get better as people. That's the best thing. We're able actually to honor our word to ourselves. And we develop a deeper, more personal sense of integrity with ourselves. So that's what we're about today. And we want to give you some real strategies related to that. So let's just begin by talking, first of all, about what procrastination is. In module 1 of the full course that we offer on this topic, we basically talk about the fact that procrastination is the gap between intention and action. Intention and action. It's pretty simple. Procrastination is the action of delaying, postponing, or avoiding a task. And it's not just common to the US, it's common to all cultures. In addition to that research that revealed that 88% of the people in our modern workforce who procrastinate at least for an hour every day, Piers Steele's research found that up to 90% of college students are at least sometimes impacted by procrastination, and a full 95% of people say they wish to overcome those tendencies in their lives. The good news is that we can change. Modern brain research reveals that your brain and my brain can be rewired. It's this concept called neuroplasticity. You can teach an old dog new tricks. Your brain can be rewired. Bad news is chronic procrastinators often suffer from any number of significant consequences, from broken marriages to lost jobs to deflated dreams, financial disarray, self-esteem issues. And these are serious issues. You and I both know that. And while putting off that task you've been dreading may seem harmless, over time, it can, in fact, lead to severe consequences. Procrastinators also suffer with, poor grades in school, missed career opportunities. It's huge. Depression, anxiety, heart disease, hypertension, other health issues, chronic stress, and finally, disconnection in personal relationships. Now, I know we're getting a little bit personal right now and a little bit vulnerable, but if you're willing to type in the chat for you, what's the worst part of procrastination for you? We talked about what's the best part if you could accomplish or solve this, but right now, what's the worst part of this for you? Help me understand that. Unclosed loops. Yeah, Tamer, I can totally appreciate that. The feeling of not having enough hours in a day, letting others down. Absolutely. Depression, not maximizing my potential. Man, these are powerful. Thank you for sharing these. The unsettled feeling, that inner sense of angst. Absolutely. Higher stress. Our self-esteem takes a hit. These are powerful. Thank you. The bottom line is that procrastination is a failure to steward the time we have well, and it wastes our potential. And this is important because what is our time? our time is our lives. Well, how can you tell if you're a procrastinator? You guys probably know this intuitively, but I'll give you some things to think about. You have difficulty coping with change and transitions. Maybe you're lost without a roadmap and you just feel stuck in life. You're chronically late. Your to-do list has a to-do list. You tend to focus on non-essential things instead of doing what needs to be done. I'm always going back to my Facebook feed, or my scrolling through Pinterest or things like that. Constantly getting distracted from those things that really need to get done. You maybe struggle with identifying what you actually accomplished at the end of each day, even though you know you've been busy all day. So for many of us, maybe a number of these things resonate with you. Well, now that we know what it is and why we do it, let's just talk a little bit more about that why we do procrastinate. We know what it looks like, but why do we do it? Well, one, for some of us, it's due to this plague of perfectionism, the fear of making mistakes, setting unrealistic expectations and standards, right? We say to ourselves, man, I just need a little more time, a little more knowledge, a few more answers, a few additional resources. I was saying earlier, Sunday, my son is leaving for basic training in the Navy to continue his quest to become a Navy SEAL, which he's been on now for a while. And he's our only child. And this is a big moment for us. And we have a very close relationship with Joel. And for a while, I've been wanting to write him a letter from dad to son. It's something I can leave him with as he steps into this huge transition in his life. And I've been putting that letter off for so long because I didn't know where to start. All the things that I could say, what do I actually want to say? How do I get that down on paper for my son? And I finally just had to put myself on the clock this week and say, you know what? I'm just going to get up in the morning and I'm going to start writing every morning until I get this done so that I can give this to him before he leaves. But it was that feeling of it's got to be perfect or I can't hand it off. And maybe for others, it's fear of failure, fear of success. In one of our mastermind yesterday, somebody talked about the actual fear of succeeding. The fear of not being enough. This is a deeply ingrained emotion that all of us face. Sometimes we need fear, and sometimes fear stands in the way between us and our dreams. For others, this simply involves a lack of motivation. Still others, maybe it's just a lack of interest. The task isn't fun or rewarding, like changing diapers or doing dishes or giving something up that isn't fun. Maybe for others, it's distractions are a significant reason. When you start to do an important task, it's so easy to get sidetracked, right? Or allow ourselves to become distracted. Things that are easier and give us more of an immediate hit of feel good. Still for others, it could be situational. Maybe a loved one has died. And we put off cleaning their room because we just don't want to let go. It's hard to let go. So we know there are a handful of reasons why. But the great news is, regardless of what your situation and why you're doing it, is it is possible to overcome it. So let's talk about that. Now that we know what it is and why we do it, let's talk about some practical strategies. I'll just call them hacks that you can put to work starting today. We're going to give you three really great practical strategies to eliminate procrastination. Number one, here we go. You ready? All right, let me know you're ready. Type in the chat that says ready. I got to know we're fired up and ready for these principles. I'm not going to start till I get a few readies. Okay, good. Awesome. You're tracking. I love it. Beautiful. Oh, I got ready with exclamation points, multiple. Love it. Here we go. Number one, plan every day in advance and do the most important task first. Now you're saying, oh my gosh, Bill, I've never heard that before. Listen, I'm not going to give you anything today that's rocket science that you probably haven't heard before, but how many of us are actually doing these things? I'm amazed at how many people wake up in the morning without a plan. How many of you know that if you don't have a plan for your day, there are a whole bunch of people out there who are more than happy to put a plan together for you? They have all kinds of ideas on how you should invest and spend your time, right? Am I alone there? I don't think so. And that's why without a plan, we allow other people to kind of get in the grab the steering wheel of our lives. We give them the control of our lives. Without a plan, we revert to really important things like checking email or our Facebook feed. Now, I know that probably hurt a little bit, but that's just true, right? Friends, I know this is an old adage that you've probably heard before, but if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. You're laying the groundwork for procrastination on those things that are really important. So the question is, what's your plan? And when and how do you determine your plan? Personally, I'm going to just share a little bit of how I do this. I have two very important habits that I try to follow through on, disciplines for every week, related to this principle. Number one, I sit down at the beginning of each week for an hour, usually on Sunday, the beginning of each week, to establish the key priority tasks for my week and where I'm going to put those on my calendar. I'll call this my aspirational plan. And then secondly, I also sit down for 5 to 10 minutes every day right before bed with my day planner, and I write out my priorities for the next day. Because guess what? I can have my plan at the start of the week, but then what happens? Well, life happens. and my plans get blown up by Monday. My aspirational plan gets blown up. So I got to have that plan B, my daily at the end of each day. Okay, how did today go? And there were some things that I did not expect. So what am I going to do tomorrow to make sure I stay on track toward my weekly goals? I call that my adaptive plan. Now, recently, I'll tell you this, folks, I've switched to an actual physical day planner. This is just a change I made about a month ago because my routine was getting really stale and I found that it wasn't working for me very well. And the reason that I did that is I felt like I needed to literally, with pen and paper, because of the studies related to this, start writing down what I was going to do. Research tells us that when we literally take a pen to paper and we write down what we plan on doing, it becomes more real. It becomes more tangible. These things become more solid and real in our lives. And the beauty of this is, you become more accountable to the most important accountability person in your life. You know who that is? That's you. And that's me. This helps us become more accountable to ourselves. So my day planner, when I sit down and write it out in the evening, it always begins with my personal growth time. I have no less than 1 hour every morning for personal growth. And then I literally write out what I'm going to do in that hour, in order of priority. So I know exactly how that hour is going to be spent. Some of it's in scripture, some of it is in reading, some of it is in affirmations, some of it is in journaling, some of it is in exercise. But I know exactly what that hour is. I know that there's the most important thing for me in my life, will always be the most important thing, is growing myself. I have to start there. And then from there, I write out in my calendar with my work, what's the most important thing I need to do in my business? And recently for us, this has been finishing a manuscript for a book that Paul and I are working on. Now, this is hard for me because I hate to write. But if you're going to get a book out, guess what you have to do? You have to write. I love what the fruit of writing leads to, but the process is very difficult for me. And it's kind of like what Mark Twain said. If it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. And if it's your job to eat 2 frogs, it's best to eat the biggest one first. What was Mark Twain saying? Who likes to eat a green, live, squishy frog for breakfast? Well, nobody does, okay? But guess what? We've got those things in our lives that are really important to do, and they're hard. Creating content, for those of you who create content, are hard. Starting certain projects, they're really hard because there's a lot to them. It's going to require a lot of work, a lot of mental horsepower. But and I know that's the key to my success. And so the best thing to do is start with that big frog first and eat it. Eat it first. Don't think about it, just start. And when you do this, you will release a flood of happy chemicals into your system, dopamine and endorphins, that then give you this powerful sense of increased clarity for your day. It gives you increased confidence, and you kickstart your day off with this newfound sense of momentum that becomes like this powerful domino that knocks down all the rest of the dominoes in your day. I had a friend who came to me a little over a year ago. He was a business owner, and he came to talk to me at the conclusion of one of our leadership conferences. And he was so impacted by the conference that he was in tears. And he was stuck. He was not experiencing in his business all those things that were really important for him to experience. And to the point where he was in tears. And he was utterly committed to change. It led to an 8-month coaching engagement. He paid for my highest coaching offering because he was totally committed to change in his life. And as we entered into the coaching process, we discovered early on in the process what his biggest obstacle was, his biggest issue that was keeping him from those things that were most important from him. It was his mindset. It's something we go into in great detail with our course on this topic. Sam had this constant narrative, this tape that ran inside of his head that said things like, I'm not enough. I don't have what it takes to lead other people. I can't grow my business. I'm not the kind of person that other people would want to work for. I'm not a good enough leader. Now, if you continually tell yourself that, what do you think the results are that you're going to get for your business? Well, they're pretty predictable. It led to him being afraid to bid larger jobs. He was afraid to add and hire new people to his team, which prevented him from taking on more work. And so guess what? His revenue goals stayed stuck. They stayed in neutral. So his plan was to attack this as his number one priority. He knew he had to change the way he thought. And so he developed a morning routine, and a central part of his morning routine was personal growth and working on his mindset. And then from there, he went to work on building the foundation for his business that would allow him to hire people. So he started scripting out roles and responsibilities, and we created a hiring and onboarding process. He did that early in the morning before his day started. A plan for how employees could grow and progress within the company. And guess what happened? During a time when a lot of businesses were slowing and closing, Sam hired 3 new guys for his team. He bid and was rewarded a bid that was 3 times higher than any bid he had ever submitted up till that time. And his revenues grew significantly during a time when many businesses were shrinking. He developed a plan. He got clear on his priorities, and he started to attack the one thing that would impact everything else. And that reinforces this first principle: plan every day in advance and do the most important task first. Number 2, procrastination hack number 2, list it out. How many of you have a to-do list? Go ahead and type yes in the chat. I want to see how many to-do listers we have on the call today. A couple. I just don't have one. I have multiple task lists. Yeah, okay. We got some people who love to-do lists. And how many of you to-do listers know that tasks on your to-do list are like rabbits, right? They multiply like crazy and you can never chase them all down. Why? The truth is we never will be able to. Why is that? Because life will always present more options and more opportunities than we as limited people have the capacity to handle. That is reality. There will never be enough time to do everything you have to do, but there is more than enough time to do what is most important. And that's what's key here. So list it out, but have a plan of attack for how you manage your to-do list. Brian Tracy talks about the ABCDE method from his book, Eat That Frog, which I highly recommend. It's a phenomenal book on increasing productivity. So Brian says, first of all, start with a master to-do list, which I think sounds like a lot of you already have some form by which you kind of get all those tasks up there. But then he says, then place an A, B, C, D, or E next to each task. Let me go through these. The A tasks. These are tasks that are something that is very important. These are must-dos. And if you don't do them or you do them, there will be serious positive or negative consequences attached. Okay, so you maybe have more than one of those. So you just do A1, A2, A3 for all your A tasks. B tasks are should-dos. They're not must-dos, they're should-dos. And you're going to get mild consequences for not doing those, okay? You might make some people unhappy. You might inconvenience a few people, but that's okay. Why? Because you can't do it all. And these tasks are simply nowhere near as important as your A tasks, okay? So might be certain emails, it might be returning certain telephone messages. These B tasks, you should never start if your A list task is still undone. That's a rule you should never break. C tasks, these are nice to do. There's really no consequences attached to these. Maybe phoning a friend or completing personal tasks during the workday. C tasks, they're nice to do, but again, they pale in comparison to my A tasks. D tasks are tasks you can delegate. What is it that you do that only you can do? And if you have tasks that fall outside of that, then you need to ask, okay, who should be doing this, or who could be doing this? Who could I delegate this to that would make much more sense for them to do it? And then E tasks are eliminate. There are just simply tasks on your list. You just need to let them go. You just need to just close a loop and strike it out, because guess what? It's just not important, okay? Now, if you discipline yourself to do this, I guarantee you'll transform your current to-do list. So the question is, what is one critical task that you have been putting off? What's one task on your to-do list that you know right now it's an A list task? And what are you going to do today to get started on accomplishing it? Where are you going to find time for that in your calendar? Write it down and then apply the 2-minute rule. When faced with an A priority task that you really don't want to do, just simply commit to do it for just 120 seconds, just 2 minutes. And you know what that does? It takes something that feels impossible and breaks it down. It makes it more manageable. Then it becomes manageable, and then just start. Force yourself to start when you said you would start. List it out. The third principle or strategy then is to minimize distractions. This is super important. This relates to this principle of the law of environment. that we are living organisms, and the environments that we place ourselves in impact our ability to grow and thrive and be the people that we want to become. So how do you do that? Well, you have to find the disorder in your world, in your immediate environment, because disorder encourages procrastination. So the first thing is list out the things in your immediate environment that distract you. List them out. What are they? Get to know what they are. Get real with those things. Figure out then, secondly, what, ways to reduce your contact with your distractions. One of my biggest distractions is my actual desk and papers on my desk. I'm not naturally, if you know me well, you know this, I'm not an organized person by nature. But I value organization. And one of the things I realized that I must deal with paperwork as soon as it comes into my life and not let it set. Going back to what Tamara said, the more I let paper set with writing on it, it becomes an open loop in my life, and it just starts to take energy away from me. It drains energy. More paper, more energy drain. It's a distraction that I don't need. Set time limits on what will distract you. Maybe you need to block certain websites, turn off notifications, delete games and apps on your smartphone. Record your temptations and directly address them. Remove yourself from or turn off the internet. Put your smartphone on airplane mode. There's all kinds of things that you can do, or just simply shut it off. Wear noise canceling headphones. Unplug your router. Close your door. There's all kinds of practical ways. These aren't hard things. If you just picked three of the top ones for you that would really help you if you eliminated them from your life, that would help you become more peaceful, centered, and in the flow as you do your work. In addition to that, you increase activation energy. So how do you do that? Well, one of my principles is success starts the day before. I always set my clothes out, my medications out the night before. The books I'm going to read, they're setting on my desk before I even go to bed. I grind my coffee beans because coffee is a huge part of my morning the night before, and get my coffee hopper all ready. So all I have to do is push a button in the morning. Everything is laid out. I'm decreasing resistance and increasing activation energy that just makes it that much easier for me to do the things I need to do. I'm greasing the skids, if you will. Okay? So think about your own life. What do you need to do, whether it's setting clothes out or keeping your workspace clean or thinking through your excuses and then block them before you can make them? Let me ask you some questions. What's the number one? You should write this for yourself. You should write this down for yourself right now. What's the number one distraction you deal with on a daily basis? Just pick one, just one. The number one, the one that has a bigger impact than anything else. Okay, now that you know that, and usually intuitively, most of us know pretty quickly, what could you do to eliminate or at least limit that distraction? What could you do? Maybe come up with three things. But the most important question, and this is why I love coaching and being in live masterminds with people, what will you do to eliminate that distraction, and when will you do it? Write that down. Be accountable to yourself. 3 powerful strategies. Making your plan. Identifying what's most important and going to work on it immediately every day. Making a list and prioritizing that list, and minimizing distractions. We made a promise today to share with you 3 practical ways to begin eliminating procrastination. And that's just the beginning. And as you think about those 3, I'm just super curious, of those 3 strategies, would you just type in the chat which one would be the most effective strategy for you to kind of work on and develop more into your life? Let me know. Which one did you like the best? Okay, plan my day. Thanks, Seth. Minimize distractions. Awesome. Great. So, Tamara, you're already started on that, buddy. I love it. Minimize distractions in all caps. I feel the urgency in that. Pre-planning, making lists, prioritizing tasks. This is fantastic. I love it. Prioritizing my list. Great. Distractions. Thank you. This is great. Super helpful. So it sounds like for all of us, all three of those were relevant and resonated with us to a certain level. It's awesome. Truth is, there are many strategies to employ, and we haven't really even touched the surface of this. This is just kind of a snippet of all the things I'd love to talk to you about. Things like developing a compelling why for yourself that's stronger than procrastination, building a great mindset, how to set priorities and use planning tools, the power and benefits of rewards, and so much more. But I want to talk to you about how you can take advantage of an opportunity we're providing to fully resolve this issue and this problem in your life. But before I do that, I told you at the beginning of the call that if you hung with us this long, we would provide to you a really cool tool to help you close the loop on many things that you have been wanting to get done, but just haven't. Now, this is being provided to you right now by Paul in the chat. You can just simply click on this link and you can download this resource. This is called the 30-Day Challenge for Eliminating Procrastination. This is super cool. It's going to walk you through a simple process that will help you identify all those things you need to get done. Maybe those things that have been hanging over you for a while now, okay? And then simply help you develop a plan using a calendar to get those accomplished. Maybe things like all those honey-do list projects, fixing that squeaky door, installing that light fixture, replacing your 25-year-old smoke alarms. I don't know, it could be anything on that list. Could be setting up bill pay with your online bank account or automating some of your payments. Maybe it's creating or updating your will or getting those vacation dates on the calendar with your spouse. Or maybe it's finishing that photo book from last year's vacation. All of us have a number of these things that we know we want to get done, we just haven't. Well, this calendar will be a really practical, fun tool to help you just get those things down on paper, get them onto the calendar, and get them done. For those of you who, like my friend Sam said, this has to change. I'm tired of the pain that is causing me. I'm tired of the price that I'm continually paying for my procrastination. We've developed an online course that we want to offer to you today, and it will really help you take that next step of fully overcoming this challenge. And if you'd like to continue your education on this today, I want to invite you to join us for a 4-week live online course that'll be done in a live group mastermind environment that's going to walk you through what we talked about today and then add to and expand on so many of those principles and so much more. Now, just to tell you a little bit about this course is broken up into 4 modules, and it's organized in a really cool and intuitive and easily accessible online course platform. Module 1, we're going to go deep into procrastination and talk more about what it is and why we do it. And we'll talk about the patterns of procrastination, more about what the data tells us. We're going to get clear on your personal why as the first step toward eliminating procrastination, and then develop methods of celebrating success. Then we move to module 2. And this is the module where we really go into the brain side of this, understanding how your brain works in relationship to procrastination is really important. We're going to talk about how we're actually wired to procrastinate and the science behind it. We're going to talk about motivation and the link between expectations and rewards, how to find your flow, where your motivation and attention are in harmony with each other. And then we're going to do a little bit of NLP theory, neuro linguistic programming, and how your brain can be rewired. This is so powerful. In module 3, then we move on to talk about this vital discipline of understanding and aligning your life around your priorities. We're going to take that wide angle lens and figure out what are the most important areas of our lives, get clear on those, and literally through this process, create change plans for each of those most important areas. We're going to teach you a really powerful and simple goal setting process in this module. And finally, in module 4, that's entitled Strategize to Keep Winning. This is where we kind of go into a lot more of the practical strategies that you can build into and add to your tool chest so that you have all the resources you need to be successful, setting fulfilling goals, minimizing distraction, reducing pressure and noise. We're going to bring all this together that we've learned about in the first 3 modules and put together those strategies that work for you and help you begin to eat that elephant one bite at a time so that you can truly do what you need to do when you need to do it and get more done in less time. The beauty of masterminds is in this course, in addition to the online course platform, we will have a 1-hour live teaching session every week where you get coaching support, where you have the opportunity to interact with other like-minded people like yourself who want to see that same change in their lives. You enter into this encouraging and highly accountable environment that makes change possible and takes the possibility of change to a whole level of not just possible, but probable. And these 4 modules are going to be spread out over 4 consecutive Wednesdays. We're going to begin on Wednesday, April 7th, and we'll do our sessions from noon to 1. So you can fit this right within the rhythm of your workday, right on lunch hour, and right on Wednesday. You know, that day that we referred to affectionately as hump day, that's the hardest day to get over. We're going to infuse Wednesday with a shot of behavioral, motivational adrenaline. And so we think Wednesday is going to be a great day for that. The cost for this is $199 and will be available to you today. And here's the deal, because we love to reward and honor not procrastinating and taking action. If you know that this is a really important step you need to take, we're going to take an additional $50 off if you choose to sign up before Friday at midnight, bring this down to $149. All you need to do is to enter in the special promo code webinar50. We can put that in the chat, webinar50, and that promo code will be available through Friday evening at midnight. There's 2 ways you can sign up for the course, either through clicking on the link provided in the chat, or you can also go to my website at billcoxcoaching.com and then click on the button on the homepage. You'll see it right there when you go there, titled Procrastination Course. Now, if you have any questions about this, would love to talk to you more about this, you can feel free to reach out to us at bill@billcoxcoaching.com. Just as kind of a final wrap up, folks, I got 12:58 and we want to get you out of here on time. You need to understand kind of the why behind what we do. Our business is all about, you want to know why we exist. We exist to inspire and equip great people to live a legacy so that they can leave a legacy and show the way for the next generation. That's why we do what we do. And we know that building and living that kind of a life takes effort. It takes intentionality. And for so many people, we've seen procrastination be one of the biggest things that stands between people and the impact that they want to make in the world, the difference they want to make in people's lives, that they feel called to make. I know this, friends, you only have one life, and don't let that be you. It doesn't have to be you. Let us help you with this. Finally, I just want to say thank you so much for being on the call today and for staying with us the whole time. I hope this has been valuable to you and that you've learned a lot in the process. Polly, anything that you'd like to say as we wrap up today? You're on mute, buddy. Do I have you muted? Oh, hang on.
Awesome. Thank you, Bill, for unmuting me. No, I just want to say thank you again to everybody on the call, but also thank you to you, Bill. You nailed an issue that so many of us truly struggle with, and you gave some real practical advice and some help so that we don't have to stay stuck. Because as we alluded to before, stuck stinks, and watching our lives pass us by without growing into our full potential, that really stinks. And nobody on today's call wants that. We want to thrive. We want to grow. We want to live meaningful and significant lives. And we want this world to be a different place because of the difference that we made. So procrastination is an enemy that pits itself up against living a life of significance. But it doesn't have to be a victorious enemy. We can defeat it. And I think we're all a little bit better equipped today because of our time together. So as Bill said, if you want to take a deeper dive into procrastination with us and join us for the 4-week course, visit Bill Cox Coaching and click on that procrastination course. We'll tell you a little bit more about it there as well. So let's keep the dialogue going. Let's keep growing, and let's keep exploring the vast potential place inside of each one of us. I would be remiss to say that every week we're going to, or not every week, that'd be a little crazy. Every month we're going to try to do a webinar just like this, where we tackle a topic that often comes up in the coaching sessions that we do. And sometimes we'll have a resource like a course attached to it. And other times it's just information to help us grow so that our tribe, our people, we can all just continue to grow and become more of who we were created to be. So we did promise a time for some question and answers. So if anybody wants to stick around for a couple minutes, they have a couple questions for Bill or myself, we'd be happy to do that. And if you've got to sign off too, we promised an hour and we're just a little bit over. So feel free to take off as well. We'll stick around if there are questions.
Yeah, thanks again, everybody. Again, if you have to go, understand, but for anybody, does anyone have any questions, any final comments? We'll be here as long as we need to cover any questions you might have about the course or anything else. Anybody at all? Right. Well, if we don't have any questions, again, feel free if you have any questions about the course that starts April 7th. Love to ask and answer answer any questions you might have about that. Great to see you all. Miss seeing you. I know the whole COVID thing for many of us, it has caused us to not be able to connect as much as we might like to, but I think things are kind of getting a little bit more back to normal, and look forward to seeing all of you more in the future. Thanks again for being on our webinar today. And just make sure you pay attention to our weekly newsletters. We'll be keeping you up to date, like Paul said, on all future webinars. We're going to be rolling those out once a month now. Thank you, everybody. We're going to let you go and we're going to sign off, and we'll make this recording available to you all. Thanks again.